think we are right on time. Okay, so once again, let me just welcome everyone. Welcome to today's session. I think, sir, you've asked a very good question. Just shortly before I um respond, yeah, I want to reiterate on something very important to us, and it's going to be recorded. It's being recorded, so those who would also, watch it should please pay attention. The formatting of the submissions, they have to remain the same. I can see some people are submitting, and that's why in the your grading you would lose marks. Now some of us might not take these things serious, which is not the ideal thing to do, because you know and that's the reason why, I mean, because I mean, you might find yourself in some places here, right? That's what I was going to say. Some of us right now, we just want to do the easy thing way out, even if you're not finding the formatting. If probably you're working on Word and it's not working out, you need to be able to think. I mean, Mr. Hope shared something earlier just before everyone joined, that just while reading the PDF, when once he saw that it wasn't maybe as much convenient for him, he downloaded a PDF voice reader. That's the innovative thinking. So there's how you need to apply this critical thinking, towards this thing. So when you submit your assignment and this page is at the third page, or I'm seeing this, yeah, then after 1 2 pages I'm seeing it again. That's that, because security, cyber security, and even while studying, you need to be very articulate with, and you need to be very very yes, that's the word, articulate with your work, what you're doing. You need to be very coordinated. So please, that's for the written assignments, right? It's very important. This is how the form, this is how it is formatted, and this is how it should look like, right? So the first page you have this, and then your response, and then also for the lab assignment, the same thing. Although some persons are getting it, but I'll find out that I'll see this page here, and then after a few screenshots I'll start seeing this page again. All these things should, I mean, they could make you lose marks, yeah, to be honest. And in the real world out there, you could be taxed with things like this, and people look at how you coordinate, how you articulate, your writings, your reports. So that is that about that. Now to the question that Sir asked, and I think uh, probably today's class will be more of that, more of just interactions, right? Even though I know there are slides that I prepared that, okay, we'll go through today. But let me let me bring something up. Uh, okay, so this is the deliverable for this week, and Sir already asked a very good question. Number one, um, once you're faced with a challenge, especially not just in security but in life, the first thing you want to do is you want to think about, um, you want to you know you want to you want to develop, I'll say, a strategy, right? um what is the question asking? So that's the what, yeah. And you want to also look at where of the questions. That means, okay, if the question is asking what, where can I find the answers, right? And maybe you might also want to ask, how can I find the answers, just as anything in life, right? So for instance, this question, or the deliverable for this week is saying, first of all, there's already a textbook material that most of the answers you're looking for, you can derive them from the textbook. But let's look at this. Let's look at the deliverable. So just as the lock and key systems for your house or car are access controls, so are the personal information number, pins on your bank or credit card. Access controls and mitigations put in place to protect a resource from a threat. There are tools to make sure that only allowed users can access the resource, including password, hardware tokens, biometrics, and certificate. This week, you'll find the answers to some of these questions. I mean, this is the learning objectives, right? So first of all, you look at this. There are some keywords that you can pick up from these things, like the pins, yeah, things like access controls. Now, just by doing this, if you decide to go to, I mean, the first thing I've done now is to discover what this question is asking me, right? So I've seen it's asking me for access controls. uh it's also made mention of pins, yeah, which is again part of, I would say, access and access control, right? I'm also seeing things like threads. I'm seeing things like hardware, tokens, biometric, and certificates. Yeah, all these things that I want to highlight. Right now, after I've done this, I've understood. Okay, the what about this question. The next thing I said um is where, right? Where? So where is this question? Talking, or where can I find um resources. Again, I already said it that there's a textbook here, so I don't want to do anything outside. I want to make everything contained into what we are doing here. So if I open the textbook now, definitely I can search manually, okay, for access controls, and then it will bring me to the pages, or it will highlight places where the word access controls are, or the word hardware, tokens, biometric, and certificates are. Again, I'm containing this into what we have, because um charity, they say, begins at home. The reason why I'm saying this is, if we want to, if I could easily say go online, search on Google. Everybody knows you can easily do that. But I want us to, because one thing that is very important to note is, if you understand how to do it from the basic, from just what we are doing right here in class, right? Then when you go out there to research, when you go out there to check on Google, or um, on any tool you use to make your work, to make yourself productive, to learn faster, then it will be much more easier for you. So I can pull up the textbook right now, and like I said, I could search for this, and I will see things that are related to these access controls, certificates. I mean, access controls on its own, it's a broad topic, right? That's where I start from. I start to read first, and the essence of how this program is designed for us is that, you know we don't spoon feed anyone. Like cyber vigil will not, because I was sharing with and just permit me to say, the instructors of cyber vigil, right? I was amazed how much they were expressing their concern and love for everyone. When I say everyone, I'm talking about, every one of you that is participating currently in this program, right? you know you could see from how they were speaking. They were even suggesting that, possibly one live session, I mean, having just one live session for 803 and 800, like today, is not enough for you guys, that we should make it, more than that, which of course, is something that, we would work on. But where am I going to? I'm going to the point of saying, look, nothing is going to be. We're not going to bring everything to your hands, like, right. You have to also develop that ability to go and dig out for information. Now, one thing you should also understand is, that is how you are able to learn faster. That's how the things that you're learning are able to stick faster. So if I go ahead now and bring out up the answers to this question, or maybe you go on Google, or whichever way that you quickly do. Now, you might probably, if I do that for you, you might probably see the answers, but it will not. You're just seeing the answers. How I dig it, how I brought it out. If you were the one that passed through that process yourself, you can never forget the answers. Like, it will stick to your memory. What am I trying to say? On this, you must, for the course of this program all through, you must be able to go, and source for your information, and the every of the information that you need is already in this textbook. The textbook is robust enough to give you to answer your questions now. And I've also told us, there is also, I'm not encouraging us to rely. I always say this, not just to this class but to everyone. um you can leverage, don't rely. You can leverage on AI tools. I know we all know ChatGPT, which is the most popular, right? And open AI, it's an artificial intelligence. You can leverage on tools like that. Remember what I'm like, you need to see, that's the thing with security, with life, with being professional. You need to be able to balance, yourself, your critical thinking with productivity as well with efficiency, right? um I can spun up ChatGPT now and ask ChatGPT what is access controls. It will answer me, it will give me the meaning, right? But when I go to a textbook and read up what access control is, what I will find from there will be definitely different from what ChatGPT will answer me correctly. I'm not saying it's going to give me the correct answer, but the textbook will go in depthly. So what can I do now to leverage the both to spun up my productivity, my efficiency? I can understand because of course ChatGPT, I can tell it, explain, break this down to me so that I will understand what you're saying. And it will break it down. And I can assure you that once ChatGPT is broken that down to you, and you read the textbook, you begin to find it that, oh, okay, so this is what this textbook is saying. That is leveraging. That is not relying. Reliance is saying, what is this on ChatGPT? Copy paste on the document or copy paste on the assignment. That is you relying. I've told us, I'm sharing. This is everything I'm saying to us. Trust me, I'm not saying it out of the blues. I'm talking my life experience, right? I've done certain research on certain projects, and that would even lead me to tell us that next week there's not going to be lab assignments, lab assignment for one of the units. Just it's going to be a project work. So we're going to be grouped in projects. We're going to be grouped, in groups. So maybe we'll actually do that today, and then we all have to work on those projects together. So if you're in the same group, I don't think we'll be more than two groups. So please, each group, you have to work on the project, because of course there will be like a presentation, right, that we'll do after, not immediately. So but there will be submissions, right? But I'll get to that. So what am I trying to say? So I've worked on projects that I had to research on materials already existing, research papers, right? So let's assume this is a research paper, for instance. I had to research on this, then I read it. Now, pay attention, because I'm going to show you where I leveraged AI tool, and that could help you. I read it, I understand, right? Once I read it, I look at, okay, I understand what this is trying to do. Then some of the key components, some of the key points, key paragraphs, I take that up, I put it in ChatGPT. ChatGPT, can you tell me the limitations? That's the leveraging, that's the intelligence of this tool that is in front of us. Tell me the limitations in this paragraph, in this key point. Where can I continue from here? Now, every research work you see is done up to a point, so you can continue the research. So like I said, if this is an existing research right now in front of our screens, I believe everyone can see, right? This could be where this research stopped here. There's always a continuation. As well, this research would have been a continuation to where a certain research stopped. So there's always a limitation. That's something we should even in life, right? I mean, they always tell us where my knowledge stops is where everyone's knowledge here might begin. I don't know it all. No one knows it all. I'm not the all-knowing. I'm not God. There's always that room for more knowledge, which is why I would always still tell us we must be able to, go out there and dig the knowledge yourself. Now, I will tell it, tell me the limitations, where can I continue this research from? And from there, I engineer it, and then it starts giving me resources. I start paraphrasing paragraphs. I take out some paragraphs, I tell it, paraphrase this, add some new knowledge, add some things that is not already existing. And before you know, I've come up with a new game, I've come up with a new work. That, you see how I've leveraged, I didn't rely on an AI tool. I only leveraged it for me to be more efficient. Now, that is how we should approach, that is how, learning, that is how learning should be. Learning should not be tough, it should not be hard. And the way technology is going right now, they're making learning even interesting. But you yourself, you must be ready to embrace that model. You must be able to embrace that change and quickly. That's another thing, because technology is so fast, so you yourself, you have to think fast and be able to catch up with the train. If not, He could travel and leave you. So back to the class assignment. Now there are other things here that I hear that, like for instance, this work has told us that okay, you will find answers to access controls, authorization policy. All these are already keywords that you can search on the PDF material that would help you to answer. Because what exactly is the main question? Now let's go to the main question. Richman Investment is an investment and consulting firm. I want us to, based on everything that has been said so far, let's see how we can answer this question together. Richman Investment is an investment and consulting firm aimed to expand its operations both locally within Nigeria and globally, right? The company objective is to eventually have 10,000 employees in 20 countries. The corporate headquarters is in Lagos, Nigeria. Currently, there are 8 branch offices in the following Nigeria city, and then we have the cities. Now, the Nigerian offices have a total of 5,000 employees who use desktops, mobile computers, and wireless devices. The Lagos office has an internet connection to all remote offices because redundancy is extremely important to the company. That already tells us that what they are talking about is, there's sort of a backup, right? So they have remote offices like you can see Abuja, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Kano, even though their head office is where is in Lagos. Now, um, yes, so redundancy is important to the company. Several sensitive applications are used across the offices, right? And the management from each offices shares application information hosted at the corporate headquarters. Now, we've understood the scenario. There's a scenario that was painted here for us to understand. I'm trying to break this down, because of the question Sir asked. So we've understood the scenario. There's an office, there's an headquarter. That's very important. That's the I'll say that's the what now of this question, right? That's very important. So that we've painted as scenarios. We know there's remote offices. Now we are thinking of okay, there's backup. What type of equipment would they be using for backups? Hard drives, things like this, SSDs, all those types of things we start thinking about it. Now, another thing I want to pick up from this is it says that several sensitive applications. So that means that, for instance, in banks, not all the applications. I mean, maybe some of us might have noticed that some ATM machines, once they are broken, when I mean broken, I don't mean physically damaged. I mean like broken. You are probably able to see the operating system of the ATM. Maybe sometimes, most times, it's Windows. You see that tells you that there's a software that the ATM itself is a computer like Microsoft, like it's Windows usually. So there's a software on that computer that helps in transactions so that when you slot in your card, say give me 1,000, it gives you 1,000. And that software, they are what? They are very sensitive because things that is giving you counting money, telling you okay, take this one, this is what you have, your balance, and will send message to the bank, they will send you SMS. That is very because again, a lot of things is taking your PIN, is taking your bank statement, your private identifiable information. So that means that is a sensitive. What I'm trying to let us understand, this point here saying several sensitive applications are used across. So you want to think about when there's something is sensitive, it means that there need to be three things: authentication, authorization, and accountability. I think maybe in your previous labs you would have come across these things, but you see how I'm trying to gather up this knowledge so that we know how to answer this question. Now let's go now to the question that is asking. It's saying design a remote access control policy for this organization using appropriate access controls for systems, applications, and data access. Now include the design and justification for using the selected access controls for systems, application, and data access. Now, just even I reading this, I'm already thinking, okay, when they say remote access control policies, first of all, like I said, if we go through the material, you can see a lot of there's a lot of policies that are there. But let's discuss now in class, because I'm already thinking, okay, there could be a role-based access control policy. What is a role-based access control policy? That means that based on your role, you should be able to access certain information. I've not even looked at I've not looked at the textbook, but that already comes to my mind. There could also be what? Discretionary based access control policy. Discretionary. Now my head is already thinking, okay, this is what this assignment should talk about. This is what this assignment. And again, I wouldn't have known this if I had not read the textbook. So the first place is for you to read the textbook. That's why the assignment doesn't come first. What comes first is the learning objectives. The learning objectives comes first, telling you this is what, because looking at it, if you had followed through, you read chapter 4, 5, and 6. Now, coming here would give you a more broader understanding. Mr. Sir, Mr. Nonso, I don't know if I've been able to do a little bit of justice to your question on how to do this.
Yes,
Okay, sir.
yes.
Okay.
Then excuse me, now you said that you talked about these roles, and that's role based.
Hmm.
That's under the topic of looking at access controls, all these privileges.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, where I am a little bit confused was design a remote. So meaning that there are different places. So
Hmm.
will this access policy be applicable to those based on that is on site and off site?
Hmm.
Because this one is talking of off site.
Hmm. Yeah. So
So,
yeah, that's actually a very good question. So you see, I like the fact that that means you actually picked out. Yeah, I love that. I love that question. Um, uh, when this already talks about remote access, I mean, before I was going to talk about this, right? I just wanted to say this is the reason why I always like to personally I always like to learn amongst individuals, because how we how we see things differ. The way I see things is different from how everyone sees it, and this is the benefit of learning together, right? I'm just saying this to comment that sir was able to actually pick out. Now remote simply is saying that, okay, these are this like, so for instance, the policies that would be in Lagos, right, would definitely be different from the policies that would be in Abuja, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, and all these other remote sites. Now, for instance, let's take an example now. So in Lagos, let's say they have a password policy, right? And let's say the password policies entails them that, okay, they are at the headquarters, they are on site, so you must have some special characters, maybe certain password age, right? Let's say let's just assume it's 30 days. Now that password age policy, the other password policy for the Lagos, I'm citing an instance. I want us to understand the scenario. Is specifically for Lagos. But when designing that same password policy for remote access, it's definitely going to be different. Number one, you can't leave the password age at the same age, or saying it's 30 days, because of course now you want to think at a more broader perspective that I mean, so many things, because number one, you're not going to be accessing the remote site. You want to also first even understand, are you going to be gaining access to the remote site often as how, is it within 2 days, within 3 days? All these we determine, okay, if the password age has to stay at 30, or we have to make the password age 10 days, meaning those employees have to change their password within 10 days, because we don't want to stand any chance of risk, maybe of a brute force or any type of password attack. And that's for the password policy. You also made mention of something, sir, which is least privilege, right? You just want to look at that. I mean, whoever is going to be gaining access remotely to something, I mean, so if for instance I'm not working at the headquarters, uh, I'm working at the headquarters rather, and I have to gain remote access to Enugu. I need to understand that people in Enugu also have an office. So there are people that are in Enugu that, for instance, okay, so let me break this down. So let's say I'm here right now. I have access to this on our screen, right? I have access to read and to also edit. Yeah, I have access because I'm here, so I can make an edit. For instance, I can highlight this to yellow, right? Now, I'm the one here, so I have read access, I have write access, I have modify access. If, for instance, you are the participants, you need to gain access as well remotely from where you are, because we are all, I mean, we are miles apart, right? You're in Nigeria. If you need to gain access to this document, number one, I need to take notice that you're not here. I'm the one here, so I know I'm working with this, but still you need to have access to this. I would only give you a read access to this. You can see the remote access. You see, these are just scenarios, but I'm helping us to understand what that scenario on its own, what it's actually playing out as. So I would only give you read access, that okay, you can read it. So if for any reason you need to take over this system right now to maybe make a presentation or to talk about this deliverable, I'll give you only read access, meaning you can look at this document, you can scroll down through like this, but you won't be able to do things like highlighting it like this. I won't That access will not be given to you. For what am I talking about? The Google sheet that everyone opened for our results, if you had opened the result, you would see that you can only read. You cannot modify those data. You cannot change the scores. You cannot change the grade. That is remotely. I already set that. I mean, you have access to that document, but that's an example of a remote access policy. But while I am here, I have the the access to read the data, to write, to modify. So sir, I don't know if, because I'm trying to actually simplify this, bring it to things that we do so that we can understand. I don't know if that was able to do justice enough.
Okay, sorry, at that time I was off. My network threw me off. So I just came back 2 minutes ago. But I understand before it threw me off, I understood very well.
All right.
Please, this word design,
Yeah.
design, that is you write, it is written. Do you need a drawing, or just write policies?
So it's just when you say design, I mean, it's just talking about, okay, um, that's where the articulation or the attention to detail comes in. So that design is not just saying, it's not about maybe write drawing. No, it's not drawing, but it's saying articulate, like make a very strategic, access, remote access control policy. That's what it's trying to say. So that design is not the literal meaning of design, right? It's saying articulate strategically, come up with, a remote access control policy. I mean, it should not still, if you think, if you think if you look at it as, okay, I think I can bring a picture into this, maybe, putting out all the seven, domains out, the user domain, the one domain, the land domain, and then you are able to, it's still, that's a graphic, yeah, but it's still part of, even strategically, I'm just trying to say, the fact that I said design does not mean drawing, does not mean you limit just to maybe what is one can think out of the box. Okay, let me bring a diagram here. It will make the instructor, or whoever I'm presenting this, or whoever is reading this, it doesn't have to be the instructor, whoever is reading this would understand what I'm. So that's where the articulation, that's where this, the strategic writing, or the, yeah, that's where it comes in. So, but thank you so much, sir, for those questions. They're actually very good questions. I hope everyone as well must have learned something from that. So, then that being said, so it's the same mindset we use in approaching every other thing. So there's going to be a project. I think we are almost out of time for the first class. There's going to be a project, right? By next week. So the project would actually be in three parts: part one, part two, part three. So I don't know, maybe before this class end, because we're already, almost out of time for this class. So I mean, I already had a slide that I was going to present to us today. I mean, it's just, I would say, it's an excerpt. It's derived from your learning material, your textbook that is already available to us, right? So, but before I give the keyword or the phrase word for this class, and there are how many of us? Okay, there is Miss Bukola, Mr. Monson, Mr. Roberto, and Mr. Hope in this class. Okay, So I don't know how we. I mean, there's supposed to also be Mr. Divine, right? So, but I just want us to come in already in groups. So I don't know who's gonna do the grouping. I don't want to do the grouping for you guys. So that, but if you say I should do it, of course I can easily. But um, how do you guys want to group yourself so that you can do the assignments together? I don't know how you, but you're all in the same group, so you can. It's a simple project, but again, just like Mr. Nonso has asked, you see the questions when you guys interact with each other, you're even able to, you're able to foster collaboration. So that's even the essence, right? So how do we do the grouping? Um,
So I prefer you do the grouping yourself
okay, I should do the grouping.
randomly.
Okay. Okay. All right. No problem. Then, in that case, like I said, the assignment is going to be next week, right? So when I send the deliverable for next week, the groupings will see our names already in the group. So because some persons are not even here as well, so it won't be fair, if we just make a group without those persons. So I'll make those group, but it's now going to be your duty to make sure that your group members are actually participating. So because everyone would have something to talk about, when they are presenting. Like I said, it's going to be in three parts: part one, part two, part three, right? So, but all those information will be sent to us. So I think right about now we'll conclude this class. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'll try and find time during the week, to do a recording, which I will upload on YouTube. You know, just going through your slides or going through the slides that's being prepared, right? um but you must do the work. You must read your textbooks. You must read those chapters. I expected that maybe we've even read some of those chapters and then we bring those questions to class, and then we can talk about it. That's how it should be, so that we can interact. These live sessions is not to come here to teach. It's just to, for us to interact, spawn up conversations that would help us to, develop intellectually. So, okay, that being said, the phrase word for this week here would be CISO. So that's the phrase word. That's the phrase word, CISO. That's the code word for this week for 800 CISO. So I will do I'll try, to come up with a video that will be recorded, and then it will be uploaded. Please do well to read it. Remember, the video is to help you understand better, what you probably would be reading your in your textbook. Yeah, I think that will be all for this class. I will send a link to the group, 803 for the next class on 803. So just expect the link within maybe 5 minutes. So we'll just have 5 minutes break. Then I'll send the link. Then we attend that class, and then I will call it a day for today. If there are any questions, or before we go, are there any questions? Let me take any questions. Miss Bukola. Okay, Mr. Roberto. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. My question will be as regards the code. What are we supposed to use that code for?
Okay, so this is how you are in the class, so I know you're in the class, so I don't expect you to actually use this code. So, but for those people who probably did not, who are not in class right now, and they watch it, it's just a way that we know that, okay, they watched the recording, they listened to, I mean, the questions that was asked. They also learned something up until that point where the code phrase word was shared. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense now. Makes sense.
Okay, so again, this is the phrase word. This is the phrase word. I'm trying to highlight it in red. So this is the phrase word, CIS. All right, so I'll send the link to 803 now sorry, I mean, after 5. So let's just take 5 minutes break, then we get to the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so yeah, welcome everyone to again. I don't intend for us to, like I said, everything that would be spoken about here is in the textbook. I always like it when I have to be honest with everyone here. I was forced. If you look at this, is now this is not even this is Illinois Institute of Technology. So a disclaimer, and a recognition of Illinois Institute of Technology because they might watch this. We don't know. I was forced to actually go, you know, dig up a slide so that I can because I just assumed that maybe it's an assumption, right? That we are not reading the textbook. Like it's an assumption, and there's a probability to it that that assumption is true or the assumption is false. Well, how do we reduce the probability of that assumption being false? Is that when we come to classes like this, you know, we ask questions, we say some things that that would spur conversation that, oh yeah, truly those textbooks, they are passing through, they're passing through each and every one of us, like we are actually really going through it. Look, to be honest, like I said, I don't know it all. I'm also learning. The textbooks that I sent to us, I've read them myself because, again, I'll put this out there. What Cyber Vigil is doing is we're modeling a structure that already exists. So there's a university that we're modeling, okay, what they are doing. I'm trying to bring this to people who, because I mean, some of us, the amount we are paying to study, this program, trust me, it's you don't want to even know, right? Monthly, right? Just monthly, it runs into millions. If I want to make the conversion into our local currency where we are monthly, I'm not talking about you know per semester in Nigeria where maybe some university are collecting 500 monthly, every month, millions, just to study. So there's a structure that we're modeling, right? And it's just good that these things, not everybody might be able to afford that millions monthly. So how, and those people still need knowledge, they want to learn. So you see where this enthusiasm, or this the motivation, where is it motivation, yeah, if you call it that, where it's coming from, right? So it's important, like I said, myself, I've gone through those textbooks. So if you come to class and you ask questions, definitely, uh, again, I should be able to answer you, help you, maybe break down those concepts. But if you don't read the textbook, how do you? And again, you can't just rely on that. We come on live sessions. Like, again, we have how many slides here? Trust me, you don't expect that I'll sit down here and cover 95 slides within a many short time and everyone will understand. But if we had read the textbook, yeah, it will make sense. It will be easy for me to just, for us to interact. The CISSP training that we did, right? Look, because everyone was doing their due diligence on researching, reading, sometimes we'll come to the session, we would look at a slide like this, and the questions everybody will ask, we would have answered or covered another 10 slides just by answering the question, just by the conversations that everybody was bringing. I'm telling you guys, like, I'm telling you life experience. If it did not happen, I will not come here and say it happened. No, I won't do that. We would have a slide like this. Somebody would just ask a question, but this, I will just answer. Another person will answer in class. One other person, and before you know, we will just talk. We can spend like 10 minutes or 15, and we have covered. By the time we go to the next slide, we say, we've answered this from there. We have covered like 15, 20 slides. Before you know, from slide 16, we're already in slide 40. That's because everybody is doing their due diligence. You understand? I'm reading, you're reading, everyone is reading. It makes it more. That's what makes it more fun. Trust me. So I want to encourage us. Please, let's do more of that. Let's do more of that. I know it might be a lot of information in textbook, but just read. When you read it, I want to assure you, whether you like it or yes, I'm telling you this, whether you like it or yes, after the period of this training, this program you're going through, right? The first month, you will look back at when you started. Your knowledge is security. If you're actually doing the due diligence, so you're reading those textbooks, you are coming to class, you're asking, you will look back, whether you even do it or not, you will look back and I mean, for the past 1 week, right? I want to believe you've learned something new. You are gaining knowledge. So imagine if you're really, really putting yourself, doing the due diligence, actually going through those textbooks. It will be explosive. Some of you would, after this program, you say you want to go and write certifications. That is what we want. That's what Cyber Vigil want. That's why we are trying to, get you this knowledge, right? So I don't. I've spent a lot of time talking about that. But yeah, I think this week we're supposed to do. Okay, so let me put out the deliverables, right? I want us to follow. Let's follow the deliverables. So I believe some of us already started submitting their lab assignment. Great. Please, again, let's not forget, although it's already in the record in the beginning part, you must, the written assignment, you must follow the template. You must also follow the lab submission template as well. So we're supposed to look at chapter 2, 4, and 6 of the textbook. And this week, basically, it's on information. So when you see ISS, that is information systems security or information security system, whichever way you want. You just know that there's information, there's system, there's security, and then I mean what is pertaining to the policies, right? So let me tell us something very interesting. So you see, um, I might not go through every of this slide, but I want to make an illustration that will help you when you read the textbook. Everything that you see here is on the textbook. This is just in fundamentals, that's 800. We were talking about things like, what were we talking about? We were talking access control policy. We were talking about um authorization, all those other things. Now, in these slides for this, or this on the textbook here, this talks about security technologies. That's why you can see things like packet filtering firewall, host firewall, all these things. That's why you can see all these things. Again, disclaimer to Illinois Institute of Technology. I mean, thanks for them making this available, because I found it very, very informative. Again, these things are in the textbook if you go through them. Okay, Mr. Nosoris is answer. Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Are you sharing anything? Because I'm not seeing any. Are you sharing any screen?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Thank God you asked that. Imagine I was just no one even bothered to ask. I've not heard some people's voice. Miss Bukola, are you here with us? Let me hear your voice.
Yes, I'm here. I was stuck in traffic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm so sorry. I was stuck in traffic, so that's why.
All right, all
But
right.
I'm here. I was listening in the box. I'm at home now. So
Alright, 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 alright. So,
thank
now
you.
you're welcome. So, like again, I was saying this week we're supposed to look at, or the textbook, right? It will talk about security technologies. You see firewalls. You know the types of firewalls. The stateful, the stateless, the dual home host. It will introduce you to different technologies, VPNs. Now, why are we studying, or why are we why is this, you see, that's why you see the structure and why security is even would make sense to you, because it's not just enough to have this equipment or these technologies. Let me use the right terminologies here. It's not just enough to have the right to have these technologies, having a router, the internal router, the servers. But one thing you should know is, how do we use them? Because these things are more or less useless if they are not operational, right? So a business definitely gets these technologies because they want to be operational. Either they want to serve their customers faster, or or maybe they want to serve their customer at a more wider range, right? That's why they use it. Now, what are the policies that would guide us to use this equipment effectively? Again, when you buy a mobile phone, maybe an Android, or let's say an iPhone, there's a manual that comes with it, right? The manual is there to tell you, okay, how to use the phone rather. Once the temperature is 80%, switch it off or put it inside your freezer, or pack ice block and put on the phone. It will tell you something. Now, that's the essence, again, why we have security policies. I hope this is now making sense to us. So When you look at a server, you look at a firewall, it's not just enough to have those technologies, but we need to know the policies on how they would help us. Mr. David, you're welcome, sir. You raised your hand. Go ahead,
I'm,
sir.
I'm, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm looking at the structure of this. This is very beautiful. This is so there is a firewall at the server security.
Sorry.
Yeah. I said I'm looking at the architecture of this firewall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is like perfection. Because for them to put this server in a demilitarized zone network, and he has his own demilitarized zone. This is a very good structure. I love this, coach.
Hmm. So, I mean, again, this is an example of a screened subnet firewall. Mr. David, thank you for that input, right? So, I'm trying to help us understand because, again, like I said, right, you're going to be your due diligence is that you go through this diagram you're looking at. If you read your textbooks, you should find things that would relate to this. Yeah, so I would employ everyone, do your due diligence, read those textbooks so that you can come to class and ask because
Okay.
the main essence is that. Mr. Dave, you want to say something?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to understand the firewalls. The proxy access
Hmm.
is to the server, and you have the controller access.
Hmm.
I'm trying to understand. No, I'm sorry, everybody, but you have to understand the diagram very well to be able to break it down. So this is amazing, coach. We see this is amazing.
No. Of course. Are you asking or are you telling so that I do you understand what you're seeing in front of you, Mr.
Yeah,
David?
yes, I understand. I understand. That's why I'm asking. Do you know the meaning of proxy? Do you know the meaning of demilitarized zone?
I mean, you know this because I'm sure you've done due diligence. You've read either you've gained knowledge or something. So, Mr. Someone was raising their hands. Mr. Hope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
go
done.
ahead.
Yeah, I didn't really get to understand the diagram itself.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what I knew. I knew some people will be so confused.
You see, and intentionally, I was. That's the thing because again, if you everyone has look, I can explain everything here, but if I'm explaining these things and I'm saying things that you have not read in the textbook, you would come again. Or I'm not. I'm just saying you need to read your textbooks, right? So please everyone go read the textbook. I can explain this when I'm explaining this and I'm explaining this with certain terms, certain terminologies that are in your textbook but you've not read. But if you had read it, when I'm saying those things you would understand what I'm talking about here. I mean, the diagram looks very beautiful, it's easy to explain to me, and intentionally I'm not explaining this diagram because I want us to also do due diligence so that you when you see this diagram you won't tell me that you are not understanding the diagram, but instead you tell me, sir, this trusted network, what if someone from the trusted network did not follow a certain policy and then is trying to access the servers, from a different proxy or using those are the questions. When you ask me those types of questions, I can break down this diagram, we can all talk about this diagram. You see, just even from what I've said now, ordinarily questions will start coming from there, and then so that is what I want. I can break down everything right here. If you read your textbook, you would come to class, you would ask me, you won't ask me what is this, no, you would ask me some questions that so that's what I want us to do. So that's the assignment for everyone, right? If I explain this one, I come here, you ask me to explain this one, you say I should explain this one too. You ask me to explain this one too. I love to do that, but I want us to do due diligence. Everyone, please, the chapters. When you read the chapters, the questions you ask me in class, I will know you've read. Trust me, I will know you've read. So I'm not going to spoon feed Cyber Vigil University will not even do that. We won't spoon feed you guys. Yeah. So Mr. Hope, I know you okay, Mr. Non. So yeah, I want questions. I want questions.
Okay. I've read about. Okay, can you bring up that previous diagram, please? I want to ask a question there.
Okay, this one.
Yeah, good. I have read about this demilitarized zone, and then there is a question I needed to because from what I read, it is I gather that anything on the demilitarized zone is something that public can access
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
will not cause damage
Yeah, I love that.
to the organization, to the assets. That's why you have the trusted where you segment that one, nobody gets in.
Hmm.
Then I want to ask, because now I'm seeing servers on this demilitarized zone. These servers I'm seeing here,
Hmm.
just like maybe you want to access google.com and you want to bring out some files,
Hmm.
then it takes you, let's assume these guy servers have those information you're looking at. That is for the public. Are we saying that this guy cannot be brought down and then it affects Google services?
Hmm.
Because
See.
I do not, I need to understand that concept very, very. I know I understand that what you want outside to access, you keep it to the outside domain.
Hmm.
The main ones that you don't want outsiders to
Yeah.
have in contact
Yeah.
with, you
Yeah.
segment that one inside. Nobody goes to that side. So, but I'm seeing servers on these demilitarized zones, so, and I'm getting confused.
No, so sir, you don't have to get confused. I think you already even. I love how you broke this down. So you made it even easier, right? So there are servers now. So let me say something. Let me use this instance. We all know there's the World Wide Web. Do you know the World Wide Web is the World Wide Web? Maybe most of us have been interacting with the World Wide Web all our lives. That we don't even know that there's another web inside the World Wide Web. Maybe, right? Again, that's a different ball game, right? Entirely, because that's where we start getting to the deep web. You know, we have the wide web, we have the deep web, we have the dark web. I don't know if you are hearing this for the first time, but it's good information. Some of us, maybe, not some of us, if everyone again enrolls, will do, other units that would actually introduce us to those concepts. That's when we start doing ethical hacking and some other concepts like that. So, but like you said, sir, this is a demilitarized zone, right? You've made it easy. So there's a restricted access to it. That's just what it is. So when something is a demilitarized zone, it means that we are restricting this. We don't want public access. Now, mind you, this is again a type of a firewall, a screen subnet firewall. So what could be playing out right here is, okay, we have people that can have access to this server, or this demilitarized zone only allows an ingress traffic but does not allow an egress traffic. Now, do we understand that statement? Mr. David, yeah, go ahead. Mr. David, go ahead.
Okay, so what is an ingress traffic and the other one you mentioned? Was
Oh, okay. Does anyone else does anyone else know understand that concept? Okay. If no one does, so when we say ingress, I mean, just from the word ingress, it means we are allowing traffic into, let's say, either a remote access, or let's say a remote a LAN network rather, right? So I mean, with this, because you see proxy, so that means if it's a proxy access, that means automatically it's through remote, or maybe a VPN, a virtual private network, right? So ingress, we are saying we are only allowing traffic into this private network or into this public network, whichever network it is. Egress, when we say egress, it means, okay, we're only allowing traffic outside of this network, or we're only allowing traffic to go outside of this network, but we're not allowing traffic to come into this network. So when you see the mutualized zone, what does it tell you? Again, like Mr. Nonso said, yeah, this is a restricted zone. So for instance, these servers, maybe let me say they are FTP servers now, and we know FTP servers, their port is what? Port 21, right? Now, and of course, if they're an FTP servers, it means that they're for files, yeah. So maybe you want to download files or you want to upload file. right? Now, this demilitarized zone, if it's an egress traffic, what would that tell you? If it's an ingress traffic, it means we can only upload to these servers, but we cannot do what? We cannot download. So if an attacker is trying to do something or maybe find sensitive information on this, this could be something that even the banks, security agencies, even something that they actually employ, or techniques that they employ. They put certain servers, let's say maybe media servers or FTP server, to a demilitarized zone and ensure that no one can download. Now, again, one thing that you must take note here is that this is a firewall. So, and there are firewall rules. There's something that we call firewall rules. So, firewall rules does a lot of things. It filters based on IP address, based on port. Again, you see, I mean, like I said, right, just with your question, sir, or was it Mr. David? Now, you see, we've been able to talk about so much about this diagram, right? But again, once we read, I want us to read the slide. Mr. No, so I don't know, was I able to answer your question or you still need more light? Did I really answer your question? Mr. Nonso?
Oh, okay. Visit, can I say something?
Yeah,
Oh,
Mr. Nonso, I don't know, he's still
okay,
there.
okay. Mr. Nonso, I understand Mr. Nonso point now. The demilitarized zone is mainly for servers. But for it to get in demilitarized zone, there are several processes there. Usually we have the controllers and the proxy. The proxy acts as an intermediary between a client and a server. So
Mm-hmm.
that proxy is also an intermediary that connects you to the demilitarized zone. But
Mm-hmm.
before getting to militarized zone, they have been filtered with traffic rule. That is firewall rule.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
it so the server is not automatic on the public access to the people, because he has to pass through, when you're requesting, he has to pass through the proxy, the firewall, for it to accept what you are requesting.
Exactly.
So it's a
Exactly.
security control that has been placed there.
That's why I said. That's why I said. Of course, if you also understood the ingress and the ingress egress network traffic, that would have explained a lot of things. So there could be public access. Now, the fact that it's a demilitarized zone does not mean that. Again, that's another thing everyone must note, right? A demilitarized zone does not necessarily mean that there's no public access to it. It could only mean that the public that would have access to it would, even their access will be restricted, but they also have access to it either maybe through things like DNSSEC, which is also something that was also in the slides somewhere here. But again, it's in the textbook, right? Again, it's in the textbook. I want us to make it an habit of studying the textbook. So I'm looking for the word for that DNSSEC. uh, so it's what it's a protocol that is used for host to host connection. Why am I saying this? Because looking at this diagram again, I'm saying it does not mean that there can be public access, right? But it's going to be filtered host to host, and the DNSSEC is, is I would say, is the um, um, that's the concept, but I don't want to make it the word, concept. I'll say that's the security, right? That monitors that type of traffic, right? That's the security that monitors that. Just the same way you have SSL, SSH, right? So we have the DNSSEC as well. So that being said, I want us to, because let me look at the time. Yeah, it's already past time. I want us to make it an habit. Mr. David, thank you for your question, because your question has made us to, at least to an extent, do justice to this diagram. But this is not enough. I'm challenging us today. Please do justice to your textbooks. Read these textbooks, come to class. Let's make interactive discussions, and then we'll see each other at the top. So that being said, Mr. Nonso, are you here with us? Are you back with us, sir? Okay, Mr. Nonso seems not to be there. Aside him, Mr. Hope, yeah, yeah. Any other person that has questions, please let me take questions. Go ahead, sir.
Actually, it's not a question. I understand with the explanation. I've been able to understand the diagram there. You've not given us a first word, good first word
Thank you so
for it.
much. Thank you so much. Okay, is that your question, Mr. O? Thank you so much. Wow, I'm actually happy that I have someone that actually thought, had that. Thank you so much. So the phrase word for 803 would be firewall. So firewall will be the phrase word. Your code phrase word is firewall. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Nonso. Thank you. I do.
I'm sorry I'm late. I was waiting for an appointment, but it didn't come through.
I sir. I sir. No problem, sir. That's understood. That's understood. So your phrase word is firewall. Your phrase word is firewall. So that being said, I think yeah, I enjoyed today's class. I like you see that we Mr. David again, thank you because your question was able to make us to get interactive. So that's how we want to do it, right? That's how we should do it. So Mr. David actually he's apologizing, but he's one of your instructors. You see, that's the reason why he came, and you see his impact was felt almost like immediately. So he's one of the instructors, and I want to believe maybe sometime soon we'll see him as well up here, instructing and taking everyone on these classes. So, Mr. David, again, you're welcome, sir. Thank you for joining. Any other questions? Anyone? Mr. Roberto, Miss Bukola, any questions? Okay. If there are no questions, thank you all for joining, and I'll see us again by next.
VC, can you just pray when everybody leaves?
Okay. Can you come again, Mr. David?
Thank you so
I
much.
think can you please wait when everybody leaves? VC.
Okay. Mr. Roberto, this guy, I don't know. Mr. Roberto, you unmuted your mic. You wanted to say something.
No, I was just saying thank you for the session.
You're welcome, sir. Your code phrase word is firewall. Your code phrase word is firewall. Mr. David, I'll send you a new
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, I'll send you a new link, Mr. David. So everyone, thank you
All
for
right,
joining
all right,
today's
VC.
class.
God bless you.
I'll send you a new link. You, all right, everyone.